some can break through, others cannot. But before they break through, they need to have something, right? And so what is that something?
I think it's interesting because I'm 12 years in, and my friends who are either VCs or in music or film, we always speak about what is the talents that we love and what is the people that we really remember having had a meeting with. And ultimately, they're all very similar types of people. They're just an inherent vision, drive, and almost cohesiveness. Even though it might be a unique logic that's only logical to that person, it somehow makes complete sense as you encounter that person, mixed with an enormous amount of talent and an ambition that you feel like, if I'm not getting on that train, the train is leaving anyway. So, I will just be missing out on an incredible ride. And I think most talented people will share that kind of personalities. And that is the reason why we started the company, saying that we wouldn't invest in art, but we'd invest in artists, because I remember that first meeting with all my talents. And now we have a selection committee. It's not me who's kind of heading this, but you see it, and you see it with other talents. It's really like a flame, and it's very romantic to describe it as that. But you feel like if you throw 10 things in the face of that person, they will still be standing. There's a real strength in the determination that they have. And that is, as again, being romantic about it, I think that is what's seductive about people, because you want to be on a ride with someone that's going to overcome everything, and through talent and through being smart and through being inspiring, because I think there's very few reasons to why life is worth living than actually having those great stories, and on the top of this, being on very exciting rides for it. So that's basically what an artist does. And you can pick it up. It's a confidence that's not an arrogance. It's just a real strength to, they're going to be doing this for the next 40 years. And then you can choose or not to be a part of it, but it will happen.
Sure. So I like to relate it to things I understand, which are founders of businesses. Like yourself, you seem extremely determined. You have some talents, and through that, you're creating something, and you, what's the word? You're very determined. I don't think anybody can stop you. And so you look for things like that within your artists. And so the artists are like, it's like you're investing in the founders of a company. Like, this is the best way I like to think about it, right? Like, and it's about the people. It's not about the idea. It's about the people, and it's about how determined are they, and how willing are they to go all the way, and that they're going to do this regardless if you're involved or not, right? And that's it. And apart from that, everything else is more flexible. Is that right? It's more subjective.
Yeah, and there's a sentence that Michael Ovitz said 10 years ago now that really resonated in me, when he said, I collect brains. And I loved when he said this, because I always felt like a great collector of brains, obviously alive people, but still
obviously alive people.
Yeah, I don't want to feel like any form of morbid, although I'm obviously a very avid reader, but still sure. Actual living people.
Yes.
And I think when he said this, it was quite interesting, because he said this, and I still remember, because I was in his house and there was a library, and there was the way he was speaking about talents, and it was really going on the hunt for the smartest people he could find. And it's interesting, because I think if you kind of look at his careers and look at what CIA was able to achieve, one time they were able to win a contract against McCann for Coca-Cola. McCann had the advertising agency had a ridiculously large team. They were very small still. And they still won it because the ideas were great, the brains were smart. And I think in a room you can always sense this. And I have a strong belief in that. And I've been in many rooms now where we've been tiny, my artists have been more, sometimes younger or sometimes less established than somebody else. All this is changing, but smart and driven and able to convince a crowd that they can do that. And it's just quite magical, because I think if you believe in the power of brains, I think there's very little that will stop you from that. And I think also it makes life very interesting, because you keep on putting brains together, and ultimately you see amazing things happen out of them. So I think I have it felt very liberating when he said this, because I think I was coming at it when the art world underpays people, underpays their interns, doesn't recruit brains. We lose most of our brains to sectors that pay people better. And we look at artworks as such dead objects that I think when he said this, that was just like, that's, I'm willing to pay a team member a high price. I'm willing to pay an artist every month because I generally believe that the value is not in the object, but it's in the brain. And I think that sentence therefore resonated it because it's the opposite. It's really back to the early stage VC is people who believe in backing people and they think the value is more in that than anything else that has been built, because you can see that that person could build most things from this. So it's definitely my philosophy. I know, there's all different ways to look at this, but it's quite liberating because it has really worked out to be trusting in good brains so far.
And I mean, that applies across all industries, across all businesses. If you invest in people, if you invest in living brains, then it's definitely a good strategy. Now let's talk about, let's say that there's an artist that is listening to this podcast, right? And they're like, hey, that sounds like me. Hey, I'm determined. Hey, I've got this, I've got that, Like, what are the things they need to be doing, per day, per week, per month, in terms of their online presence or their digital presence, in terms of, establishing themselves to be able to be taken seriously by a company like yourself that gets hundreds and hundreds of applications? How do people stand out like in this very competitive space?
I think first of all, it's tough, as you know yourself. I think it's definitely difficult to stand out. I think therefore the best way to stand out is to be technically as innovative as you can, conceptually have a story that's as unique as you can as well, and then match it with a very good way to approach someone. Just to when you send your story to, I don't know, like I see artists doing this copy and pasting emails or not really kind of doing a real approach. I think just really sit down and think, I want to join. I may not have everything that's yet required, but I really think this is right. Let me explain why. Plus, show that this is really the company I want to join. This is the reason why. But also, it comes on also to the fact that technically and conceptually, just research and make sure that you are truly adding value to a sector. It's a bit like going back to companies, but if 40 companies are already doing the same, you might not be adding much value as you're creating the 41st one. But it's the same with an artist, like, because we look at portfolios all day, we're really trying to pick people who are bringing something very new. And visually, you can always bring things that are new. Conceptually, it's the same. So just make sure that you go in depth with that, because that is the next rising stars are usually always people who add value to their sector, who bring something that's through a different lens, a different angle, a different context that the sector hasn't seen before.